All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast. Today with your host, Richard Fu from richardfu.com and The Ultimate Man. And today, guys, I got a awesome brother on here. I really do mean this, like, honestly. When I met this guy in Sydney, he blew my mind away. Now, he's a men's coach. He's a YouTube creator. He is an international speaker. He's the founder of the Elevation Effect. Most of all, he's amazing friends with one of our ultimate men that we had on the Ultimate Man Summit, Preston Smiles. And, if I could say this, if I said to you guys, Preston Smiles was an untapped well of love, then this guy is an immovable mountain of pure madness. When I met him, I just got in awe with this guy when I saw him. His name is JuVan Langford, and he is the immovable mountain of man. Guys, welcome JuVan to the show. JuVan, thanks to have you on.
Wow, that's one hell of an introduction. I think that's by far the best introduction I've ever had on a podcast.
You're welcome, man. The big man of the mountain has to have a big intro, so man, I'm excited to have you on, brother.
I received that, man. It's really great to be here. I love what you're doing in the world, and I'm really thankful that you thought enough about me to invite me onto your platform to share my message.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. And so, JuVan, for the people who haven't heard about you and been living under that rock that is your mountain, right? So tell us a bit more about yourself and how you actually got to where you're at now with, the whole men's coaching business.
Absolutely. It's been one hell of a journey, to be honest with you, Rich. It's been, I've done everything, to be honest. I don't think I've ever shared this on a podcast. I've done stuff from babysitting to modeling to Uber driving to laying floors and tile to painting houses to I've done every job that you could think of. It has been a journey to where I am now. And I truly believe I've found myself in a space where I'm in alignment. And a lot of abundance is flowing through because I've done the work. I have taken the risk, and I focus on the result. And that's something that has been taught to me by mentors. But it wasn't always a journey of building clarity. It was a journey of really getting to know myself. We go through a lot of trials and tribulations as children, and it really either supports us or kind of suppresses our gifts. And I was very fortunate to have really phenomenal mentors show up in my life to support me. But just to give the audience some broad strokes, and I grew up in the East Coast in a city called Worcester, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. And I was the oldest of 5 and the only boy, and was raised by a single mother. My grandmother legally adopted me and my sisters, and so went through like the foster care system and whatnot, which is really interesting. And I grew up in a household filled with estrogen. So I had a lot of challenges trying to drop into my masculine bone there for a little while, and got teased a lot in high school and turned to sports as an outlet to truly try to find myself and find happiness within myself. And it was a way for me to express myself artistically, on the court, and to be able to connect with other people the best that I knew how. I ended up going to college in New York City, studied business management and also Spanish up in a college in actually upstate New York called Skidmore College, and went abroad, studied in Spain, came back and moved to California, and went on that journey of finding different odd jobs. So I landed a job at a huge multi-channel network called Maker Studios, was a part of the build out of that company, which is amazing, and got my PhD really in digital media, which is where I started my own digital agency, and also started a nonprofit called Mentors Making Major Moves. So I've had this really interesting journey of these ebbs and flows of learning and learning curves that have supported me in gaining clarity and building a skill set that can support people in their lives, whether it be personally or professionally. And so today I'm a men's empowerment coach, and I create content, community, and conversations that support men in breaking through their greatest challenges. Why do I do that? Because that was the story for me. I had a real issue connecting with men, and it was because of losing my dad. I experienced sexual abuse as a child, through with other men. And so I had this story that if I connect with the man, he's going to hurt me or he's going to leave me. And it just was something that robbed me of my power over and over again. And so I know that there are a lot of men who are walking around, and their pain is walking into the office building before they do. Their trouble and their trauma is walking into the household before they do. And they're not dealing with the issues. And so what I have done is taken it on as a personal mission to create safe spaces around the globe, literally around the globe, for men to come into as a safe haven and to be seen and heard first and foremost, but to ultimately be able to connect on a deeper level and to let go and reframe the stories that are holding them back in their life.
Wow. I just got to give it that space, man, because that was like epic, man. That was a mountain load. It was awesome, dude. And I can't believe it's like you've lived like 10 lifetimes, right? With all the things that you've done. And tell us about that, man. I mean, like, I'm sure it sounds like it's been a whole, and you said, we talked about this offline before, it's like you've done the work, right? And, you know, it's like, talk us through that. I mean, like, how is it easy? We'll make it sound easy that, you know, you went from being a painter to doing this, to being a model, to being this. But I'm sure making those shifts and taking on those risks were not easy, were they, man?
No, you know, people think that they are going to find their forever. There are for nows and then there are forevers, and it's people, places, and things. And sometimes we go through a lot of for nows to get to our forever. And I feel like I found my forever as a men's empowerment coach. And I think this is something that brings a lot of joy to my life. You know, my background is in brand identity and creative direction. And so now I'm creatively directing these men to find their identity and to be able to live their brand. And so it's kind of like I've just kind of taken those traits and those things I've learned, the skill set, and they've translated into this industry, and it's been really powerful. And I think I spent a lot of my life, Richard, being better than average, but not great at one particular thing. And it always bothered me. I had friends who were like celebrity singers. I have friends who made it to the NBA. I have friends who have built businesses and become millionaires within 2 to 3 years. I'm like, why can't I be great at one thing? What is that thing I want to be great at? And what I realize is that some people have the gift while others are the gift. And I realized that I am the gift that I've been looking for. And there's so many people who get to come to that realization and they don't know it just yet. And they need to be around a tribe of people who can remind them constantly that you are the gift. Everything you are is all the world will ever need. And that's what this is about. This is about teaching men so they can show up empowered, and they can go into the households and the churches and the schools and the government, and they can show up and really be the space for possibility and not problems and dysfunction. I truly believe that a lot of the world's issues are a result of dysfunctional men. And so that's why another big reason why I'm doing this work is to teach men how to have their mind and their hearts in communication so they can show up as a powerful man who is here on a mission to do something that's going to impact the world, the community, and our families and communities.
Wow, man. I'm just sitting here in awe. And something you raised earlier in that conversation there is like the for now and the forever, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this for a second, brother. Like, I'm sure when you start your digital agency company, I'm sure when you were modeling, I'm sure when you're doing whatever you were doing at that time, some point in some part of you felt like it was a forever. Until eventually you woke up and you realized it's up for now. Talk us through those moments, right? Because, you know, actually, man, I'm going through that moment at the moment. Right? It's crazy. I thought this was going to be a forever. And then it's like, hang on a second, got shook up for a bit here. Then, you know, how do you know when a forever changes into a for now? And how do we deal with that and accept that it's like, oh no, I didn't just waste all this time?
Yeah, it's a feeling. It's truly a feeling. It's kind of like love, right? We like, well, how do you know when you're in love? Anybody who has been in love, they know when they're in love. It's a feeling. It's something you can't quite describe. I wake up in the morning early. I stay up late. I go the extra mile. I give and I give and I give to these men that I work with because I have found it. It's like I found the path to myself. We're all on the path to ourselves, to remembering who we are. And I've finally have found that, and I'm exploring and I'm diving deeper and I'm learning. And I truly believe this to be my forever. But I would say it's a feeling. You know, I remember working for a studio a few years back, and I remember getting up from the table and saying, okay, you guys can eat lunch now, be back by 1. And I was like, wait, they're telling me when to leave, when to come back, when I can go home, when to be back the next day. It drove me crazy. This is not my forever. I can't do this forever. I felt it in my bones, in my chest, in my spirit, that this is not my forever. And so we trust that when you find someone that you love unconditionally, that no matter how crazy they drive you or how much love you have for them, that they're just going to be in your life forever. And I think for me, it's a feeling. We can tell. We have discernment. All of us have our discernment, and it's a muscle we're always learning to really flex and to build that muscle of discernment. I certainly am. But it's a feeling that it really comes down to. I truly believe that. And I feel right now that I am in alignment. I feel sense of purpose and that I'm on a mission. And I'm being fully supported by people, places, things, the universe. Things are shifting and moving. Emails are being returned. Phone calls are coming through. Checks are clearing. Like, things are really working because I'm in alignment and because this is where I belong.
Wow. Awesome, man. Love it. Love it. And this other thing popped into my head too, that you kind of like you just like blended up my brain here, right? When you said this line, it's like, some people have the gift, and then other people are the gift. And talk us through this, man, because I'm like, what, man? I mean, so are we all a gift, or what does it mean to have the gift and then to be the gift? Talk us through that, man. Break it down for us.
Yeah. There's so many angles you can come at this with, but I'll keep it simple for the audience, right? So have the gift is like maybe a physical trait or characteristic, like a singer or a basketball player, right? Mm-hmm. And I did the modeling thing, and I was great. I was on covers of magazines, I was on commercials, but I never hit America's Next Top Model status and got $1 million contract, right? I played sports and I went overseas and played college basketball. It was great, but I never made it to the NBA. So it was like that better than average, but not great. And what I realized is that I was the thing that was going to change the world. It wasn't a basketball. It wasn't a stage. It wasn't a platform. It was me that was going to create it. And there are a lot of people who have talents. I think for myself, one of my star powers is the ability to communicate effectively with people, to be able to be a generous listener to what's being said and not being said. And so coaching, working with men and getting underneath what the real issue is. They say, I talked to one of my clients, they say, I really just want money. Well, what are you going to do with the money? Well, I want to travel. What do you want to travel to? I want to go to Greece. Why do you want to go to Greece? Because I'm fascinated by the 7 wonders of the world, and I want to go there and I want to see Atlantis. Okay, so you don't want money. You want to experience Atlantis. And so it's like the ability to get underneath there and to like get clear as to what these men want, and then support them in creating clarity on what that path may look like, is like the gift. And it's me. It's not a tool or a basketball or a bat or something physical. It's me. I am the gift. It's my voice. It is my energy. It's my spirit that is a gift. So it's not a physical thing. Some people are great singers, and that's why they came here. Some people work at restaurants, and they're great at service and connecting people, making people and creating experiences for people. And that's why they're here. Some people start and build multi-billion-dollar companies and give back and start foundations, and that's why they're here. But JuVan Langford is here to touch, move, and inspire men to break through their greatest challenges so they can live their legacy now. There's no time. We can't make more time. We make more money, but we can't make more time. And so I really want men to understand how to value their time, to really capitalize on it and make the most of it, and really become not only financially wealthy, but relationally wealthy.
JuVan, man, this really hits a soul point or a beautiful point here for me, because over this whole week, like I was telling you off air, one of my mentors, Chris Duncan, came over and he was telling me to get off the plane, and he read this one book. It's called The One Thing. And I want to share this with you because I think it's so powerful, especially with what you just shared, is saying if we find that one gift, if we find the one thing, that's what you're saying as well for yourself, is you were good at so many things, but you weren't great at one thing and you weren't focused on it. And I think this is such a big point here that I want to make, is that so often if we imagine, this circle here is our genius, is that one gift, the big gift that we have. That if we step outside that circle, we enter this zone that I call like the excellence zone. You're excellent at all these other stuff, and then you step outside of excellence, you go into like greatness. You're great at all these things. You step out of greatness, you go into good. I'm good at all these other things. And you step out of good, you go into the average, and then from there you go into the bad. And I think this is what you're describing, is that you started out in the average or the bad, and you slowly close on in and close on in and close on in until you got to the excellent point. And this is where I'm sitting at the moment, man. This is why I'm so glad we're having this chat, man, is that the excellent point and the gift are like so close. They're so close that you can't tell the difference to yourself, because maybe you've trained yourself to be so excellent at something and you think that's your gift.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, has there been a point like that for you, man? And when you did experience that and seeing that the gift and the excellent part come across, how did you know that it's okay to let go of the excellent part so that you can step into your gift, man?
That's such a great question, Rich. That's a beautiful question. There were many moments when I was tapped on the shoulder and reminded that, hey, this is the way, this is the path. And I just disregarded it. I didn't really pay much attention. But there was one moment in particular where I was invited to Dominican Republic to work with a foster home out there, an orphanage with a bunch of kids. An agency, Natural International Talent Alliance in New York City. His name's Ashley Head. He reached out to me on Facebook and found me on there on the YouTube and saw my video of me telling my story about being in foster care and asked me if I'd be interested in being the keynote speaker down in Dominican Republic. They invited me out there 10 days, all expenses paid. It was a phenomenal trip. The last day of the trip, Richard, I connected with a young boy who was having a lot of challenges, and the director asked me to speak to him. I brought him in another room, and we sat down, and he was telling me his story about how his brother just died. And he was telling me about his mother's like stuck in the bed and she can't move, and how the father was abusive, and he had no food really and no money. And it was just like, wow, these kids our young boys are hurting so bad. And as he was telling me his story, I started locating myself in his story. And I got in the plane to come back to LA later that night, and I just started crying. My eyes were running, my nose was running, I was drooling. It was like this deep cry, and I was like, I'm going to do something about this. I'm tired of people talking about things, not taking action. What can I do? What can I do? I may not be able to change his life, but when I go back home in my own backyard, what can I do? And so I created a workshop, and I knocked on the door of some schools in LA, and next thing I know, I was in the auditorium with 250 boys, and the principal, he hands me the microphone and says, good luck. And I said, well, I just sourced this, and now I get to figure this out. And I started sharing my story with these boys, and little by little, they came up, and like this shift happened in the room that day. Like just energy just shifted, and these boys were crying and connecting. And I realized in that moment that I get to do this for the rest of my life. This is why I'm here. And so I started at that point just making different choices that led me to working with men, and led me to doing online coaching, to one-on-one coaching, to workshops. And now I've just launched a global world tour called The Elevation Effect, which is an amazing workshop. It's a 2-day explosive and exclusive event for men where I'm creating a safe space for them to break through the barriers that are holding them back, both personally and professionally, so they can really find themselves in alignment. And, as a coach, I'm an empowerment coach, but I do a lot of somatic work. So I work with the body and really teaching these men how to be in their body and how to show up empowered, and in both business, but more so professionally in their relationships. And we talk about relational wealth. We talk about just the principles of manhood and teaching them how to deepen relationships and also discard the relationships that are keeping them where they are. And the workshop is touching and moving, inspiring these guys to take action. We just wrapped in Canada. I'm headed to London next. I'm super excited to meet my UK brothers, and we're going to be headed to a few other countries. New York, we're going to head back to New York, and we've got, I don't want to speak too soon, but we've got some talks with some other countries outside of the UK and outside of the US. But it would be super exciting. We got Australia on the map, and perhaps even India. So it's an amazing time. The world is really responding really openly to what we're creating here. It's the world silently crying. The men are crying silently, and I'm just here to really remind them who they are. And I'm happy to be a face for this movement and one of the authorities in this lane.
Oh, man, I love it, man. I love it. It's so needed. It's so needed. And I thank you, man, for bringing in that story by going to the Dominican Republic, because I remember you shared that before, and I was like, I still remember that. I was like, whoa, this mountain man got shaken to the core. And I love that you mentioned that, you went out and you sourced it. I mean, you went and took on that risk, and then it's like, this is the pure example of a man in action and a man on purpose. Is, you know that you have to do something, you have to be somewhere. And it's not about the how, it's about, what's the next step you got to take, what's the next step you got to take. And so, I'm glad that you brought that up there. The microphone gets handed to you, you're just like, ooh, okay, now it's real.
Yeah. And that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. And so one last question, man, as we start wrapping up here, JuVan, is that we talked about this off air, talking about the risks and the reward side of things, right? And obviously it sounds like there was a lot of risks that are taken, because I'm guessing, you did just quit everything and then make this whole leap over into what you're doing now. Through how the journey actually did go, man. And, what were the difficult points in that journey?
Honestly, people say this all the time, Richard. They always say, like, people don't know what I've been through. It was had so many ups and downs. They don't understand my pain and my challenges. And this is what I'll say. Everything I've experienced, every relationship that I built, whether it be friendship or romantic, every opportunity that I decided to take on or to push aside, I don't regret any of it. It's all built the man I am today. And I think if anybody who's listening to this podcast, I want you to just know something right now. Just be with me for this moment. And I want to say to you is, whatever you're experiencing, if you don't feel like you're in your forever, don't miss what the universe, what God, what the world has for you in your for now. There's so much that I learned in every for now that I was in, right? There's so much to learn in the for now. Don't miss the for nows. Don't try to see beyond them. Be with them. Be in it. Be in whatever you're in right now, because there's a gift, there's a lesson. And if you don't get it now in this for now, you'll have another for now. And you'll just be a man or a woman of many foundations and no buildings. And a lot of people jump from for now to looking for the forever, and they're missing all of the lessons that they're going to need to be able to powerfully show up in their forever. Mm-hmm. So don't get caught up in, I'm not there yet. Be where you are. Be where you are now. Because there's something there. There's a lesson to learn in this moment. Don't miss it, because it'll get repeated over and over and over again.
Oh, man. Love it, man. Juvan, man, as we wrap up, man, we're going to hit it into the quick fire question rounds, man. So you ready for it, brother?
I'm ready, brother.
Oh, man. So, Juvan, man, this is our signature question we have. It's called the time travel moment, right? So if you could go back 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, at a moment in your life, and I know you said you wouldn't change a thing, but if you could tell little Juvan one piece of advice that you know today that would help him, right? What would you tell him?
I would tell him, you're almost there. I would just tell him you're almost there. Someone said that to me about 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. Mm. And I hear that voice all the time. One of my very good friends, she said that to me, and it just landed with me. And every time I would find myself beating myself up, or I would find myself not where I desired to be, I would just say to myself, I'm almost there. Mm. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And you know what? There changes. There evolves. There's no destination, because we're always only ever under construction. But just to remind myself that I won't be in this space forever, that I'm growing, I'm evolving. You know, the next level is almost here, right? The new opportunity is almost here. The new relationship is almost here. It's coming. It's coming. I'm too close.
Oh, man, that's awesome, man. I love that. The next question I have for you, Juvan, is, obviously, you've read a lot of books, man. And if there's an absolute must-read, there's one book that people here listening or watching must read. What would that book be, man?
I love this question. And I say this in every podcast, and I'll say it in yours as well, is Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. It is a phenomenal book. It's a children's book, but it's about a young man who goes on a journey, and it talks about the things that he will indefinitely encounter, what we all encounter. And if you have not read this book, I suggest that you get on Amazon right now and you type in Oh, the Places You'll Go and purchase this book. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, it is a phenomenal book, and it's one that you'll be able to locate your own story within at some point in the book. And it's just a gentle reminder that this is a journey. This is not a destination game.
Awesome, man. We'll add that into the show notes, man. And I'm excited to ask you this question, brother. All right. So, Juvan, man, as a men's empowerment coach, you know, with the modern world where we're at, man, I personally feel that men have been left behind with this whole feminist movement, right? Women have been evolving themselves to become what the modern world needs. But I think there's a huge gap to where men are. You know, women are up here, and the world's up here, we're here. And we need to bridge this gap. And if there's one thing the world needs more of us men to do, what would that be, man?
Show up. Show up. We're not showing up. At some point in this world, in this time, in this century, there was an intermission, right? And all the men got up and they walked out. And I don't know where they went, but they need to find their way back. into the homes, into the government, into the churches, into the schools, into the football fields, the tracks, into the community, and really just show up. We don't need our men to do much, but really be a presence and a guide and a mentor to the women and the children. We need us. We need us, Richard. We need us more now than we've ever needed us.
I love it, man. And as I tell some of my clients and my fans, is like, everyone that's listening right here, I want you to remember that you're a role model, whether someone tells you or not. Yeah, you are always going to be looked up to at some point in your life. And make sure, we step up, we show up, as Juvan says, suggesting here. And then, as we wrap up with this last question here, Juvan, I want to know, if you had 30 seconds left to live, brother, and you're surrounded by your loved ones, your family, your amazing friends, the people that you've made a huge impact on all around the world, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, be gentle with yourself. I would remind them how much I love them. And then I would give them a huge hug and look them in their eyes and tell them that everything they are is all the world will ever need.
Beautiful, man. Love it. Yeah. I love it, man. And so, Juvan, man, this wraps up the show, man. Is there anything else you want to mention that we haven't had a chance to share on the show yet?
Yeah, I would say anybody who wants to connect with me online or really just have a vibe session, a Skype session, please join me online. You can find me at JuvanLangford.com or on any of the platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at JuVan Langford. I have an amazing YouTube series called Thought Life, the vlog series. You can find it at YouTube.com/Thought Life Vlog. And I'm here for you guys, man. Any men, they have an amazing workshop traveling the globe. You can go on theelevationeffect.com and check out the dates for the tour. We're going to be traveling the country, literally around the globe. So if I'm not in your city, reach out to me. Maybe we can make that happen. But it's truly a phenomenal workshop that's really opening up some doors and some hearts and some minds of men. So I would love to connect with you guys. If I can support you guys in your businesses or personal life, please reach out. I do coach. So if I have space, I'd love to maybe take you on as a client and support you, take a journey with you. I love you, all people, and it's about the movement, and it's truly about the movement. It's not about anything other than really building something, building platforms that people can come on and really take their lives on in a really powerful way. So I thank you, Richard, for having me on and really loving on me. I hope that this message resonates with yourself and also the audience that you are committed to building. And I just thank you for the work that you do in the world, because without these types of opportunities, without these types of platforms, the message that I'm committed to sharing doesn't get spread. So thank you for thinking enough about my message to spread this.
Thank you, bro, man. Thank you so much for jumping on. And guys, we'll add all the links into the show notes as well. So this wraps up another episode, guys, of the For July podcast. Today with the immovable mountain of man, Juvan Langford. He is the solid rock that we men need in this world. He's an amazing guy. Make sure you follow him. And I know this, Juvan and I don't want to keep this a secret. This needs to go out there. So make sure you go and share it on iTunes and rate the show so that we can get it up there. Of course, head on over to richardfood.com to grab all the details and the resources shared by Juvan. And finally, remember to go out there, go live with love, go smash it. We'll see you again on the next one.